nice looking vehicle up there.
It is. Looks good.
Where do I look? Everywhere. Just look at everyone.
You're taking their pictures?
Of course.
Why not? They're taking ours, right?
No, only yours. Only yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we prepare for the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by PennGrade Motor Oil. We have a very special announcement to make here today. Joining us on the dais is the owner of Thom Burns Racing, Mr. Thom Burns. Tom, welcome.
Thank you.
Verizon IndyCar Series driver Conor Daly joins us. Conor? And Chief Air Force National Events Branch Major Ross McKnight. Major, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Tom, a very special announcement today, and obviously we're all excited for the month of May. Explain to us what you've been working on and what we can expect from Thom Burns Racing in the month of May.
I've been working on the Air Force for a number of years, and they've been in NASCAR primarily now with the Petty organization. And finally this year I got a call and said they might be interested in coming to the Speedway. So I just changed the dates on some of my material and sent it all down, and we were fortunate enough to come up to it with an agreement. And I can only say that being associated with the United States Air Force makes you stand a little taller next to the car, puts a little more responsibility on you. And I've had some great sponsors in the past, but when Coors Beer was my sponsor, I would just stand on Coors cans. This one, I actually had my feet on the ground and I was standing taller. But very honored, very proud to have that logo on the car.
Talk a little bit about how you and Conor and how that relationship grew over the last couple of months.
Well, I followed Conor since he went to we had a common attorney, and they filled out his first driving contract to go over to England, or to go over to Europe. And so watching him progress, and then when the Air Force came in, they said we had to have an American driver. Well, then Conor was the first one that I thought of. And he wasn't with Foyt, and he was available, so we met one day at a restaurant downtown and put everything together.
Conor, quite an honor for you. Obviously, the month of May cannot get here soon enough. The excitement, the anticipation, but even more so representing the United States Air Force.
Yeah, I mean, for me, everyone knows me as probably the most American dude out there. So to have this, I mean, I think I'm now 5 for 5 on red, white, and blue cars when I compete at the Indy 500. So this one has to be the best, though. I mean, it's when you talk about partnerships and deals that you're trying to do for the biggest race in the world, to have the opportunity to represent the U.S. Air Force, I mean, that's sort of top of the list. I mean, that's something that is a great honor, certainly for a young American like me. So it's going to be, obviously the car looks incredible. The Thunderbird livery is pretty striking. So I just can't wait. I mean, obviously, it's still a couple months away, but at least we have it sort of all in order and everything going in the right direction to be ready for it.
We'll have an opportunity to see the livery in just a little bit as soon as our press conference is over. The car is down on the Pagoda Plaza, so we'll take some photos with that. Major, what brought, and Tom touched upon it a little bit, he said you've been working with other organizations. What drew the United States Air Force to the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500 and, of course, working with Tom?
Well, it's just something that we evaluate the opportunities that exist out there to get the Air Force recruiting message out there to inspire, engage, and recruit the next generation of great airmen. And this seemed like a wonderful opportunity, a perfect pairing to put together the greatest spectacle of racing, the Indy 500, and the U.S. Air Force. And the shape of the car, everything just lends itself perfectly to the Thunderbird paint scheme and the shape of a fighter jet. And so it was just something that put together we thought was a wonderful match to reach out to our target audience and make those connections and be able to communicate the Air Force opportunities and benefits and careers that exist out there at that wonderful large platform.
You spent the earlier days of your life to the west side of Indianapolis. You're a Plainfield native, obviously some ties to the Indianapolis 500 as well.
I did. I've been I've been a spectator at 4 races, and I'm looking forward to the 5th is associated with Thom Burns and Conor Daly and having the Thunderbird paint scheme running the 500 miles.
He even bought one of our 500 Miles of American Awesome T-shirts.
I sure did.
Back when Pat McAfee was involved. I like that.
So we have the media here. We'll open the floor for questions. If anyone does have a question, Susie will be walking around. Just raise your hand, and we will open the floor to you. Have a question in the back there? Yes, Don.
You said the back. I thought it was behind me. For the major, will you have places where kids that get inspired can sign up, can join the Air Force?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So the 338th Recruiting Squadron, based out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, is responsible for this area, and they're going to be partnered with our national level recruiting assets, and we'll have a large footprint out there in the Midway area where we can engage with young talent all through the month of May and bring them on to information the Air Force has, and the local recruiters will do an excellent job spreading our message and our word, especially with our national assets that will be here.
Other questions? Tom, we'll go back to you. Things have changed. I believe your first Indianapolis 500 was 1997, right around?
87.
87. Geez, even early. Yes, that's
I'm
right.
older
Yeah.
than I'm older.
Yeah,
than,
but you were
yeah.
Dominic Dobson, I believe, in the 90s then. So 90 to 94, I think you were with Dominic. So 87 was your first 500.
Mm-hmm.
How have things changed as an owner over this time compared to this announcement today and when you started in 1987?
Remember, I'm a fan first, so you look at the change of the facility here, and it's just, you know, magnanimous. It's the racing capital of the world. From the acquisition of sponsorship, it's gotten a lot more challenging. You have to really be right on target with who you're addressing, and that's probably been the single most change that I've seen in racing. I've primarily done just the 500. And it's harder and harder to do just the 500 because of the amount of money that it takes. The Speedway is the Speedway, but the sponsors want more return for their dollar. So we have to expand show car programs. We have to expand and partner with them in their activities that they're going to be having and having a racing part of that. But that would be the single most change, getting married up with someone who's interested, and that's actually helped IndyCar because we brought in more sponsors. Many of them thought they were just like national companies that dealt with car products and things of that nature. But the other car owners have been very successful in bringing other entities to the table. So hopefully we do a good job, and it's a real narrow line where we have to walk, and because that's where they walk. So I don't expect any problem. I think Conor has the capability of winning it, and I think that the car and the motor that we have has the capability. So we're looking forward to an excellent May.
Indeed, with that Honda power. Conor, you were with your friend Alexander Rossi, an Indianapolis 500 champion on the amazing race, although you will not be milking camels during the month of May at any given point. Will you be able to ride along potentially with the Thunderbirds?
I asked them that last night, actually.
Talked about that last night.
I said, are there any planes available for me to be involved in? Because that's something that I think is just, I think that's a requirement. I think that should be part of the deal for sure. I mean, I'd love to. I think it's just, I mean, again, it's just so cool to be able to have that element where there's just so much activation we can do with this program. And like, there's a lot of deals that I've seen in racing. Like I always said that deals that make the most sense never happen, but finally something that makes a lot of sense happened. So I was like really excited about that we can actually, work with this, work with each other. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to get in a plane, please.
I'll add one thing. When he was sitting next to me and I was listening to this conversation, I talked about getting sick. He goes, "Oh, I don't get sick. They can go do whatever they want up there." So I leaned across the table and told the major, I said, "We want a wild jockey up there, and I want him turning circles when he's going up."
We have another question, Dave.
Hey, Conor, congratulations. 5th start at Indy. What do you have to prove? And talk about being in a single car team, the challenges what you face here?
Well, we have a lot to prove at Indy, obviously. Everywhere else I've had decent results, I think. But, yeah, here's been really tough. I've had not been great situations. But you know, a lot of wrong place, wrong time stuff. Obviously, you know, anyone can say that. But yeah, I mean, I felt like every year, you know, by the end of the month of May, we've actually had really good cars each time. And I think, you know, with this effort, you know, we are in conjunction with, you know, Dale Coyne, which I think is really important, and a really good relationship that I've had with them, obviously. So that's going to be hugely helpful. And I mean, I know what we've got to work with, and I think it's going to be really good. And I mean, for me, it's just about just getting to the next level, just figuring out, you know, how to improve on what I've learned already, because I've learned a lot. And I think just at Indy, if you just look at Indy, it's obviously been I've had a lot of stuff happen here. I burned to the ground before the race even started. So like, I feel like obviously this place owes me a little bit so far, so we'll see what happens.
We had another question in the back. If you could go ahead, please.
Yeah, this one's for Thom and for Conor.
Yes.
Thom, if I'm not mistaken, you were here in 2016 with Buddy. How much did that race have a pivotal role in getting the itch to come back again? And for Conor, obviously with the amazing race and how everything ended up coming back, do you feel a little more pressure now coming to this year's race with a little more to prove that you deserve a full-time seat? And now you have a team with Coyne, who you were kind of had your best season in 2016 with. Does that give you a little more momentum, too, to prove your worth?
Well, when we set out the first 49 laps, I would have to say I had a lot of time to think. But actually, it just kind of lit the fire up inside my gut. I wanted to be out there, and my son, I'd never brought him down in the pits, and I finally let him get down in the pits, and he's sitting on the score stand. He goes, well, now what do we do? I said, we're going to turn around and watch the 500. We've got the best seats in town. And it served as a catalyst for me to want to put together another team. Last year, I was very close to it, and then the car wasn't available. So I just waited till this year, and having a young driver, I had Dominic Dobson for a number of years, and I was involved with Pac West Racing and watching their operation unfold, and with Bruce McCall and Tom Armstrong, Wes LaMotta, they put a very good team. So I learned a lot over the 3-4 years that I was with them. And with Conor, you look for someone who can win and who's a good driver, uses their head, and that win factor is a very, very critical part in selecting a driver. And Conor had that, and all of a sudden everything just kind of opened up. I wanted to get a Honda at the beginning of the year, but then they said no, there weren't any, and so they said go to one of the other teams that has an extra motor. So I've known Dale for years, and when I talked to Conor, and Conor says, well, let's go up and talk to him. Well, the first thing this young man says, what about the Grand Prix? Can we run the Grand Prix? And I said, what are you talking about? I mean, he's talking about another additional race, but that's what a driver does. But I fully expect that we'll get all the engineering help that we need, and that's one thing that Dale's done very successfully the last several years, put fast cars out here. So we take what Conor can bring to the table, and plus what my crew can bring, and then mix them in with Dale's, and hopefully we'll have a very good May. But it did spur me on. I didn't like leaving it. Actually, it was an honor to be in the 100th anniversary of the race, but it was kind of a little emptiness there when it was all over.
Yeah, and then on your part of the question for me, I mean, there's always pressure at Indy. I think the people that I've worked with in this sport so far, the people who really understand what goes into this sport, know that I can do it. I know I can do it. You know, I've been at the front of some of these races. You know, not the Indy 500 yet, but we've had some good opportunities and some stuff that's you know, gone wrong, obviously. So I think I'm ready to finally, you know, have one of those races where we can say that everything went right. So I'm excited about it. I know the guys at Coyne truly believe in me, which is something that's hard to find anymore around, you know, this sport, because it's difficult. You're so easily forgotten. But I know that I can do it. I know that they know that I can do it, and that's encouraging. So you want to work with a group of people that believe in you, like the two guys sitting next to me. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Go ahead, Don.
Conor, you are a very fan-friendly driver. I mean, some guys will run you over on their scooter not to have to sign an autograph, but you've always stopped, even when you didn't have a ride. I saw you getting mobbed by people, so you're a very popular. Are you, is the Air Force going to use you to go to schools and talk to high school kids about the Air Force?
Yeah, I think that's one part of the program that we're all really excited about, is just obviously engaging with with young people and inspiring them to look into the Air Force, what it means to be a part of the U.S. Air Force, and I'm very excited about that, because that's the demographic. Those are the people that we need to come to the Indy 500 as well, is a younger crowd. Get everyone here to see what we're all about, see what we're doing. Piloting these incredible machines, at this incredible facility.
Major, talk upon that. Other activations that you are planning on at the U.S. Air Force with Conor, not only in the month of May, but leading up to the race.
So we've got a couple different things that are going to happen. The squadron leading the activation space, as well as the high school visits. We've got a really interesting program where we're going to bring an Air Force Academy cadet to do an internship for 3 weeks with the race team as well. Someone's a mechanical engineer major, and be able to spend some time both developing their skill set and hopefully assisting the race team as well. And then Conor will join the local squadron at the different high school events and different activities that go on throughout the month of May, as well as the different events that happen at the track.
Fantastic. Had a question in the back over here. Yeah, go ahead.
Tom, what would it take to expand this program beyond the Indianapolis 500? And then Conor, you said last year at IndyCar Media Day your theme for merchandise was patriotic. Well, with the Air Force backing you, will there be anything available for fans to purchase?
Could you repeat?
What would it take to expand this program past the Indianapolis 500? And Conor, will there be anything available for fans to purchase, given that you said that your theme has been patriotic?
Well, hopefully you realize when a team goes out and they have the logos of the company on the side of their vehicle, and I say this in all truth and honesty, it's a little more of a responsibility when it says United States Air Force. You want to make sure that you are promoting everything that they want in a way that they want to have it, and you hope that the results will be behind as the 500 goes. Then the recruiters will have names, numbers to call, and start the recruiting process for their need here. It's important to have a relationship with the sponsor. It's important to buy into what they are doing, and everything that we've talked about and that we planned with the high schools. Everything is just I'm very involved in a lot of activities here locally, and it just kind of fit the bill, and hopefully we can meet their expectations. Oftentimes our expectations sometimes just rely what the result was on the track. The true key is, did we do okay? Did we do fine? Well, we may have finished 22nd, we may have gone to 15th, but we ended at 22nd, and so we're disappointed. But they're not, because we did exactly what we should have done, and they got the results that their research indicated that they could get. Hopefully that answered your question.
And then on the merch side or anything like that, I mean, yeah, I hope we have something to sell. I mean, there'll be some cool stuff I'm sure that we can come up with over the next few weeks. I know I'm working on my own personal line of merchandise, just that I can just have very sort of personal CD type of merch, but obviously this car is cool. Let's get some die casts made, guys, and hopefully everyone can have those. So it'll be cool.
Conor, you touched a little bit when you got back from the amazing race how things had changed and how you went into scramble mode and things kind of caught you off guard. How we talked to Tom about since '87 how things have changed as an owner. When you first started racing, you bring a helmet to the track and you go. Has that role, and how has it changed for being a driver over the past decade?
Well, it's certainly changed every year. I think there's a lot of good things happening in the IndyCar Series, without a doubt. Everyone can see there's a lot of positives. There's Joseph Newgarden's our champion, a young American hero, and then that's awesome. I mean, that's the guy that you want to be, right? And so that's a really cool thing for our sport. But yeah, I mean, on my side, I've seen, definitely the highs and the lows of this game that we play. But, in the end, there's even if you look back several years, in the mid 2000s or, late 2000s, I mean, people go through this stuff. Obviously I tweeted about Graham Rahal, same with Ryan Hunter-Reay. I mean, I remember when Ryan Hunter-Reay was, fighting for every ride, and obviously, like, a driver doesn't forget how to drive. Like, that's sort of the constant. If anything, you just keep improving, but it's just the situation around you has to be the right situation. I mean, there's so many different levels of of this sport where, different teams, different engineers, different programs, and people sort of, the easiest person to blame is the driver, because that's just easy. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I sort of just forget all that. I mean, I've had enough people tell me now, that this is part of the game, and I've seen it. I've seen all the angles of it, and so I'm okay with it. Like, I'm fine with it. Obviously, we have this incredible program here that we're all going to be able to focus on and do the best job that we can, and you never know what happens then. You know what I mean? So you just got to take it one weekend at a time. And for me, I mean, I'm going to still be there annoying every single person at the track every weekend, which is my normal MO, and then I'll go racing during the month of May, and then hopefully it goes well, and we can see what happens from there. But I mean, this is the best situation we can have at the moment, right? We have a great program for the month of May, which is the big golden prize. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited about.
It's certainly a fantastic opportunity, not only for you, but Thom and the United States Air Force as well. One last question, and we will open up the floor to one-on-ones.
Major, when I was a kid, which was way a long time ago, guys would get out of high school, and some gals, but not mostly guys, and they would enlist in the service. And then the draft went away. Do you have good, steady guys and gals that want to join the Air Force? Is that an issue, or do you lock the door because nobody's there?
We're certainly not locking the door anytime soon. There are obviously challenges associated with recruiting, especially in an all-voluntary force like the United States Air Force and all the U.S. military. But those challenges are something that we look forward to facing. It's why we have the talented people that are in the room around you with the Air Force Recruiting Service that go out there and communicate the message and the benefits, and we use and leverage strategic partnerships like Burns Racing and the Indy 500 to tie correlations to jobs that we need, like for science, technology, engineering, and math, and STEM, as well as hammer home key principles like teamwork and speed and competition that are such easy correlations with the United States Air Force and Indy 500, as well as other racing events that we sponsor and do. I think that the challenges are something that the local squadron recognizes and knows that they face, and looks forward to having an opportunity to get out in front of their target demographic and engage with young professionals working their way up in the different career fields that we need to fill. And it's something that we're going to really lean on this sponsorship as well as our others to help execute that mission and inspire and engage and recruit the next generation.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time today. We will invite our media for one-on-ones. Thom, thank you so much. Conor, Major, we thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at the 102nd running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by PennGrade Motor Oil. After our one-on-ones, we will do a photo shoot down with the number 17, Thom Burns, United States Air Force, Honda in the Pagoda Plaza. Looking forward to seeing Conor driving that in the month of May. Again, we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This concludes our announcement.